Hello friends and welcome to Study Center. We are discussing Indian polity for SSC CGL and this is the session 4 of the series. In the previous sessions, we discussed the history of our constitution. We discussed about the various acts those were introduced during the British rule in India. As these acts, particularly the Government of India Act 1935, has influenced the Constitution of India. Now the question arises, who made the Constitution and who gave them power to do so and for whom they were making the Constitution. Because during the British rule, the India was not a united one country. The whole of India was divided by the British position in India and many of princely states. We'll answer these questions along with lot of more questions in this session, where we'll be discussing the construction of Constituent Assembly, working of Constituent Assembly, drafting committee and the enactment of Constitution. Let's get started. The idea of Constitution was first given by M.N. Roy in the year 1934. He first gave an idea of a Constituent Assembly which can make the Constitution of India. Right? In the next year, Indian National Congress for the first time officially demanded a Constituent Assembly to frame the Constitution of India. In the subsequent years, Nehru declared that the Constitution of the Free India should be framed by Indians only, without any outer interference. And this work is to be done by a Constituent Assembly elected on the basis of adult franchise. And the Britishers accepted this demand, as in the year 1940, Viceroy Linlithgow proposed August offer. And for this, in the year 1942, Cripps Mission had came to India with a draft proposal of the British government on framing a constitution of India, but after the World War II. Basically, they were needing the support of Indians in the World War II. All the major parties, including INC, rejected this offer. So after World War II, in the year 1946, Cabinet Mission Plan was sent to India. Right? The members were Stafford Cripps, who earlier came in the year 1942, A.V. Alexander and Patrick Lawrence. And under this plan, a Constituent Assembly was formed in December 6, 1946. So according to the Cabinet Mission Plan, a Constituent Assembly was now to be formed. And it has the capacity of 389 seats, of which 296 seats were of British India and 93 seats were given to the princely states. The seats were allocated on the basis of population count, roughly 1 seat per 1 million. The seats those were allocated to the British India were basically divided into 3 major communities: Muslim, Sikhs and others. Others were termed as general. And the representative of each community were to be elected by the members of that community only. And the voting was to be done by the method of proportional representation by means of single transferable votes. We'll understand these things completely in our upcoming sessions. Where the seats in the British India were filled with the method of election, the representatives of the princely states were to be nominated by the state heads. So the Constituent Assembly was partly elected and partly nominated. An election to the Constituent Assembly was held in July and August period in the year 1946, where Indian National Congress won 208 seats, Muslim League won 73 seats and other small groups won 15 seats. Princely states decided to stay away from the Constituent Assembly, as they have thought that they will remain independent even after the independence of India, and they will make their own rules, for which they were not ready to be a part of Constituent Assembly. So the Constituent Assembly was formed even without the participation from the princely states. And its task was to formulate a constitution for felicitating appropriate transfer of sovereign powers from British authorities to Indian hands. The first meeting of Constituent Assembly was held on 9th December 1946. However, the Muslim League boycotted this meeting as they were insisted for a separate state of Pakistan. As a result, the meeting was attended by only 221 members. And in the meeting following the French practice, Dr. Sachidananda Sinha, the oldest member, was elected as the temporary president of the assembly. Later, Dr. Rajendra Prasad was elected as the permanent president of the assembly, and S.C. Mukherjee and T.V.K. Krishnamachari was elected as vice presidents. So, a constituent assembly is now formed with a president and a vice president. What next? On which direction the constituent assembly should go, and what are the fundamental objectives they are trying to fulfill through this? To clarify these things, Jawaharlal Nehru moved the historic objective resolution in the assembly on December 13, 1946. It laid down the fundamental and philosophy of the constitutional structure. The resolution was unanimously adopted by the assembly on January 22 in the year 1947. It has influenced the eventual shaping of the constitution through all its subsequent stages. And remember this point, very important, the modified version of the objective resolution is nothing but the preamble of the present constitution. The representatives of the princely states who had earlier decided to stay away from the Constituent Assembly gradually started joining it. After the acceptance of Mountbatten Plan of partition of India, almost all representatives of the princely states have joined the Constituent Assembly. The Constituent Assembly was now made a fully sovereign body, which could frame any constitution it pleased. Sovereign body means it won't have any foreign influence. It is the supreme authority to do its job. The Constituent Assembly was not only making the constitution of free India, it was also acting as a legislative body, as it was enacting ordinary laws for the country. Whenever the assembly met as a constituent body, it was chaired by Dr. Rajendra Prasad. When it met as a legislative body, it was chaired by G.V. Malavkar. And this process continued till 26 November 1949, when the task of making constitution was completely over. Muslim League members hailing from the areas included in the newly formed Pakistan withdrew from the Constituent Assembly of India after the Mountbatten Plan. Right, so the total strength came down to 299 originally, which was 389, out of which Indian provinces has 229 seats and princely states have 70 seats. Now let us discuss what other functions did the Constituent Assembly perform apart from making the constitution. The Assembly adopted the national flag of our country on 22nd July 1947, and the flag was designed by Pingali Venkaya. Remember, many a time this question has been asked, who designed our national flag? The answer would be Pingali Venkaya. On 24 January 1950, the Assembly adopted Jana Gana Mana, written by Rabindranath Tagore, as the national anthem, and Bande Mataram, written by Bankim Chandra Chatterjee, as national song on the same date, that is 24 January 1950. The Assembly also elected Rajendra Prasad as the first President of India on 24 January 1950. The Constituent Assembly had 11 sessions, over 2 years, 11 months and 18 days. And the Constitution maker had gone through the constitution of about 60 countries. The draft which was prepared was considered in the Constituent Assembly for about 114 days. And the total expenditure incurred on making the constitution was 64 lakhs. 64 lakhs Indian rupees at that time. So the expenditure was pretty huge. On 24 January 1950, the Constituent Assembly held its final session. This can be asked in your exams. On which date the Constituent Assembly held its final session, that is 24th of January, not 26th. Okay? It continued as a provincial parliament of India from 26 January 1950 till the formation of new parliament after the first general election in 1951 and 52. So the Constituent Assembly has appointed 8 major and 13 minor committees to deal with different tasks of making the constitution. And the most important among those was the drafting committee. The drafting committee was set up on 29 August 1947, and it had the task of preparing a draft of a new constitution of Free India. The committee had 7 members and Dr. B.R. Ambedkar was the chairman of the drafting committee. The drafting committee published its first draft on February 1948 and subsequently the second draft was published on October 1948. In total, the committee took 141 days to prepare its draft. On 4th November 1948, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar introduced the final draft of the Constitution in the Assembly. The motion on the draft of the Constitution was declared as passed on November 26, 1949. On this date, the draft received the signature of the President and all the members. So the Constitution of India was adopted on November 26, 1949. And at that time it contained a preamble, 395 articles and 8 schedules. The preamble was enacted after the entire constitution was already enacted. And as we discussed earlier, preamble was nothing but a modified version of objective resolution which was given by Nehru. As the chairman of drafting committee, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar played an important role in drafting the Constitution of India. And for this, he is called as the father of Constitution of India, chief architect of Constitution of India and modern Manu. Some provisions of the Constitution pertaining to citizenship, elections, provisional parliaments and transitional provisions came into force on November 26, 1949 itself. But the remaining provisions, which were the major part of the Constitution, came into force on January 26, 1950. And this day is referred as the date of commencement of the Constitution and is celebrated as the Republic Day. Remember, on November 26, 1949, the Constitution was adopted and on January 26, 1950, it was commenced. The reason behind choosing January 26 as the date of commencement is that on January 26, 1930, Purna Swaraj Divas was celebrated and the resolution for the celebration was passed in the Lahore session of the Indian National Congress in December 1929. Although the Constituent Assembly made a Herculean task of making the Constitution of India, it faced a lot of criticisms. Like, people criticized that it was not a representative body, as the members were not elected by the people directly. How they were selected? They were selected by the method of proportional representation by means of single transferable vote. It faced the criticism of not being a sovereign body because the assembly was created on the proposals of British and it held sessions with the permission of the British. Some people also criticized that the Constituent Assembly took a very long time to make the Constitution of India, as the Constitution of America was made within the time span of only 4 months. The Constituent Assembly was also dominated by the Congress, that is the Indian National Congress, and the assembly was full of lawyers and politicians. The other sections were not represented, and some criticized that this is the reason behind the bulkiness and the complicated language of our constitution. It also faced the criticism that it was dominated by Hindu and all other religions were not represented equally. That's it for today's session, friends. In this session, we discussed about the making of the constitution and how it came into effect, right? Now let's discuss some of the key points which are important for your exams. The Constituent Assembly was formed in 6 December 1946 and Dr. Sachidananda Sinha was elected as the temporary president of the assembly. Dr. Rajendra Prasad was elected as the permanent president of the assembly. On December 13, 1946, Jawaharlal Nehru moved the historic objective resolution in the assembly, right? This point is very important. The national flag was adopted on 22nd July 1947 and it was designed by Pingali Venkaya. The national anthem and song were adopted on 24th January 1950. Our national anthem is Jana Gana Mana, written by Rabindranath Tagore, and national song is Bande Mataram, written by Bankim Chatterjee. Rajendra Prasad was elected as the first president of India on 24th January 1950. Drafting committee was set up on August 29, 1947 and B.R. Ambedkar was the chairman of the committee. The constitution was adopted on November 26, 1949, and the Constitution came into force on January 26, 1950. On November 26, some of the provisions came into effect, but the major parts came into force on January 26, 1950, right? And Dr. B.R. Ambedkar is also called as the father of the Constitution of India, chief architect of the Constitution of India, and modern Manu. Do remember all these points, as these are very important for your exams. In today's session, we discussed the constitution maker have gone through the constitution of about 60 countries. So, in the next session, we'll be discussing about different sources of Indian constitution. Thank you for watching and see you in the next one.